Okay, so today we're learning section 2.1, comparing, ordering, and rounding decimals. We're on page 52 in your books. Page 52 in your books. Know your place values. You guys know place value? Yes. Okay, I think you've got a chart right here on page 52, so you don't necessarily have to write all of this out. It's right there in your textbook, but you must know place value. Probably the most important concept that you'll learn this chapter is place value. You've got to know it. All right, now we are going to start talking in correct language whenever we're describing decimal values. We always describe it in terms of the last decimal place. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we look into the examples. So know your place values. We start with the millions place on the far left. We go millions, hundred thousands, you can say it with me, 10,000s, thousands, hundreds, tens, ones, tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. It goes on beyond that, but that's as far as we're going to go. All right, so that's place value. You have to understand place value in order to be able to really do anything with decimals. So in example 1, we're comparing decimals. So anytime we're comparing, we're asking ourselves, which one is larger, which one's smaller, or are they equal? So if I'm comparing 22 and 5/10, so we don't say 22.5. I know that that's our natural, what we naturally want to say. But we're going to say 22 and 5/10 compared to 22 and 12 hundredths. Why did I say 12 hundredths? Because 2 is in the hundredths place, and so that's why I say 12 hundredths. All right, now there's 2 ways that you can do this. What I suggest is that you make an equivalent number of decimal places for each number. So notice that there's only how many decimal places in our first number? There's only 1. So I'm going to do a 0 placeholder to make it 2, which is how many decimal places are in our second number. Does that make sense? So I want to kind of fill in the zeros, so I'm looking at now which one is bigger, 50 or 12? 50, so I know that this number is bigger. I can also simply look at the very first decimal place value and ask myself, okay, which number is bigger, a 5 or a 1? And you would say a 5, of course. A 5 is bigger, so you know that 22 and 5/10 is bigger. Either way is fine. I think it's just easier to fill in the zeros to hold the place and say 50 is bigger than 12. But when we're comparing, you can look at it either way. The first decimal place you come to, see which number is bigger, and that's the bigger number. Or fill in the zeros and see which number is bigger that way. Okay, so looking at your turn now, number 1, I'm going to just go ahead and fill in my decimal places. So I have the same number of decimal places. I have 2 in my first number, so I want 2 in my second number. Now which one is bigger, 10 or 5? 10. So I know that 20 and 1/10 is bigger. So I open up my less than sign to my to the right side. All right, now what about the next one? I've got 1 decimal, so I'm going to fill in my 0. Okay, so 70 to 70 is equal. All right, and now 701 to 699. It's going to be a greater than. Now, we read these guys left to right. So you're going to say that 5 and 701 thousandths is greater than 5 and 699 thousandths. All right, greater than if it's open to the number, less than if your beak is closed off to the number. All right, so in example 2, I'm ordering decimals, figuring out which one is smaller, which one's bigger. Again, you don't have to do this, but it is probably wise to have even number of decimals. So it's very clear to see. Because a lot of times people mess up those whole numbers. 2 is just like 2.00, okay? So it is smaller than any 2 value with any type of value in the decimal. All right, and then 2 and 600ths and 2 and 2400ths. So now that I have them rewritten with matching decimal places, which number is the smallest? Which number is the smallest, guys? It's going to be 2. So I'm going to say 2. And then what's my next smallest? 2 and, okay, how are we going to say it? 2 and 600ths. It's in the hundredths place. 2 and 600ths. What about the next one? 2 and 1100ths. Do you see how we're classifying that? Because the last digit in this decimal is in the hundredths place. Does everybody agree? So that's why we say 1100ths. All right, so 2 and 1100ths. Now what's our next one? 2 and 2100ths. And then our final one? 2 and 2400ths. Okay, any questions on, wow, that's not straight. I had it zoomed in, sorry about that. Any questions on ordering decimals? So make it an equal number of decimal places, and then you can clearly see which one's smaller and which one's bigger. All right, questions, guys. Questions on example 2. Anything? All right, so let's move on now to example 3. Rounding a decimal. So this is where it is very important for you to know place values. Because if you don't know what the tenths place is, how are you going to round it appropriately? All right, so if I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, is that my first decimal place, my second one, or my third one? It is my first one. So whatever place it's asking me to round to, I look at the very next digit that comes after the place that I'm rounding to. So if I'm rounding to the nearest tenth and I have a 2 in the hundredths place, will that keep my 1 the same or will it round it up? It'll keep it the same. If it's 4 or less, it keeps it the same. So I say 7 and 1/10, and that is my answer. Okay? Now what about the next one? Round 8 and 147 thousandths to the nearest hundredth. So which place is the hundredths place? First, second, or third? Hundredths? It's in the second. So now I'm looking at the 4. How do I know what to do with my 4? What do I need to do? Look at the, very good, the thousandths place. Well, that's a 7. When it's 5 or more, what do I do to my 4? It goes up to a 5. So I have 8 and 1500ths. Okay, I drop off the thousandths because I've rounded now to the nearest hundredth. Now look at the third one. Round it to the nearest whole. Well, what's a whole? What place is going to be a whole? What place? It's going to be the ones place. The ones place. So what's the next place after the ones place? The tenths place. Well, the tenths place is a 9, so what's going to happen to my ones? It's going to go up to an 11. Okay? All right, any questions about rounding decimals? What's the smallest number? 3.48. Okay, we're going to say it correctly. 3 and 48 hundredths. All right, what's the next one?
3 and 84 hundredths.
3 and 84 hundredths. What's the next one?
4 and 38 hundredths.
4 and 38 hundredths. What's the next one?
4 and 4 tenths.
4 and 4 tenths. Very good. And what? 4 and 83 hundredths. What about number 5?
5 and 6 tenths.
5 and 6 tenths. Very good. What's the next one? 5 and 68 hundredths. Then
5 and 71 hundredths.
5 and 71 hundredths. Then
5 and 79 hundredths.
And last but not least,
5 8/10.
5 8/10. Then when I round 34 and 152 thousandths, it rounds to the nearest hundredth, so it's 34 and 200ths. All right, who got them all right? Okay, if you understand that, that's everything you need to know for 2.1.